At Dunkin', we're getting ready for sunnier days with our Sunrise Batch Iced Coffee. A bright and balanced iced coffee with notes of cocoa, tangy sweetness, and toasted nuts. Made to brighten every day a little more. Soak in the sunshine a little more. And fill every moment with a little more. Because we aren't just chasing sunsets anymore. We're counting sunrises too. Do more with Dunkin' Sunrise Batch Iced Coffee. Brewed for brighter days. Enjoy a medium for $2. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
The comments and opinions expressed on this radio program do not constitute legal advice and do not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have a legal problem, a formal consultation will be required outside of this radio program.
This is Legal Live with Eddie and Chuck Farah. They're talking the latest legal news and answering your questions. To call Legal Live and ask Eddie and Chuck a question, grab your phone and dial 855-765-1045. That's 855-765-1045.
Thank you for listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined today by Eddie, and we have some very special callers from the Farah and Farah branch in Orlando.
Andreas Studi is here from, he's our partner in Orlando in the Farah office down there, and Andreas heads our first-party department dealing with homeowners claims, storm damage, hurricane damage, and we love to have him on the show right now. Now that we're into hurricane season, and he's going to fill us in on what's going on with these new laws that you've been hearing about in the news, how it affects you as a homeowner, and what you can do to protect yourself. Andreas, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Eddie. And I brought Catalina with me as well.
Sure.
She's
great.
the attorney with me in the Orlando office. And, you know,
more the better, Andreas.
All right. Welcome to the show.
More the better, Andreas. You may get some other calls, too, so be prepared.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Yeah. And do you mind? We have about 3 topics here. We want to talk about hurricane season.
Let's jump into it right now. Are you going to give us an update on what's going on in Tallahassee?
We can do that, too, kind of at the end of the session here. But we have 3 topics we'd like to talk about: hurricane season, hurricane preparedness, and what to look out for, what to watch out for in your insurance policy.
Okay, it's all yours. So, go ahead.
All right, great. So, well, thank you. We're here in Legal Live with Farah and Farah, and we're going to jump into hurricane season, okay? So hurricane season started June 1st. All right, we're about 2 weeks into it almost, and it ends in November. On November 30th, it ends. And, you know, I know we have a bunch of people moving here from Florida, and I just wanted to make sure that people moving into the Jacksonville area or anywhere in Florida kind of have an idea of how serious these hurricanes are. So the next section, we're going to talk about hurricane preparedness. But the NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they came out and they posted an article last month, and they said that this is going to be an above average season. Okay, and they're forecasting 14 to 21 named storms. Okay, named storms are tropical storms, hurricanes. It's something that's severe enough that they put a name on it. Okay, and that's a storm with winds 30 miles an hour or above, and that can cause some damage. Okay, and they think we might get 6 to 10 hurricanes. All right, and we might get 3 to 6 major hurricanes. Now, major hurricanes are category 3, 4, or 5. Those are winds above 111 miles an hour, according to NOAA, okay? And NOAA thinks with 70% confidence that's what's coming our way. That's what's headed here to Florida. So we want to make sure everyone's prepared, everyone's ready, everyone's educated so that we can, you know, if there's an issue, we can kind of step in and kind of help out. And, you know, Chuck and Eddie saw an opportunity to help the community here. And so they brought me on and Catalina on so that we can kind of help out the community here. All right. And so, Catalina, do you have anything to add here with regards to hurricane season?
Hi, good morning. I'm Catalina Rodriguez, and, as Andreas and Eddie mentioned, I am one of the attorneys during the first-party cases here in Orlando. I do want to say that we cover cases all over Florida, so, we are pretty used to tracking these hurricanes. throughout the entire state. As Floridians, I think we're all pretty used to hearing about hurricane season and dealing with hurricane season, but it can still be very nerve-wracking, especially when we hear these major hurricanes coming through. So one of the best ways to feel better about it, to feel safe, is to be prepared. One of the things that I know most of us Floridians do is tracking the hurricanes through either the National Hurricane Center's website or the local news. I think our local news stations usually do a really great job of keeping us updated of how these hurricanes are moving, where they're headed, and how to prepare. They also give us lots of resources to look for if you need anything as far as the preparation for the hurricane itself. Now, there's also a lot of social media that you can check to keep up with these hurricanes. So the National Weather Service, they definitely have a social media account. NWS in Jacksonville has a Twitter page. And you can even enable emergency notifications with AlertJax on your phone. So that's really easy ways to keep track of where these hurricanes are going. However, one of the most important things to do is to make a plan. Again, as Floridians, hurricane season, we kind of just think, oh, okay, let's just get some water. But at the end of the day, we really need to make a plan. First, you need to determine if there's an evacuation zone or if you live in an evacuation zone, and then plan your evacuation routes. We all know how these major highways get really full of traffic, especially when the hurricanes are here. So, follow the evacuation orders, include your pets, don't forget your pets. They're all part of our family. And so include them in your plan. Gathering supplies is also, one of those givens that we all know how to do. We get some canned water, get your radio.
Hello. I think we lost Catalina.
Yeah, I believe she cut out there, but she was talking about, gathering supplies.
Yep.
And, it's important that you gather those supplies, put them in a safe place. And she was talking about, canned food, water,
right,
radios, candles, matches, batteries.
Yeah.
Your medicine, your prescription.
But, Andreas, you're only referring to hurricanes. I mean, we handle claims, or you handle claims, and Catalina handles claims. It could be a storm. It doesn't have to be I know we're in the hurricane season. We want to concentrate on, but it can be a storm damage claim, correct? I mean, is the same laws apply, or is there a difference when it's just a regular storm damage or a hurricane?
Yeah, exactly, Eddie. We handle all sorts of homeowners insurance claims. We also handle commercial insurance claims. So if your business is damaged, and there's all sorts of things that could happen to your property, and we handle it. Fire, lightning, hailstorm, windstorm, water damage, flooding. You could paint a broad brush. We had cars run into homes. I mean, we handle it all, and we're there to answer the questions and make sure you guys get a fair shake.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
What about boating insurance? I have a question. We actually have a caller on the line. Yeah, Roger.
I think that's in another attorney's wheelhouse in our office.
Oh, I got you.
Because it's not a home. Andreas and Catalina concentrate on homeowners.
Oh, I see. Homeowners insurance. Got it.
Yeah, but we'll talk to, I think that's Roger.
Roger, yeah. We'll get to him in just a moment.
We'll get to Roger. No problem. But go ahead, Andreas. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
can you hear me
Catalina, are you still here?
I think Catalina's back.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear
Sorry
you.
about that.
No problem, Catalina.
That's not a problem. So we left off on prescription and medication. If you want to keep going through kind of hurricane preparedness, and then we can talk about some of the more interesting topics.
Definitely. When Eddie did mention that we do different things other than just hurricanes, and obviously we do the hailstorms, we do everything else. And one of the things that I really want to emphasize is to take photos of the damage, and even before damage. So even before a hurricane happens or something like that, take a picture of your house. That never hurts. But once damage happens, keep a good record of it, because we do want to be able to help you the best that we can. And having those photos is very, very helpful. Everyone has a smartphone nowadays, in the same way that you can get those notifications about where the storm is or what storms are actually happening. We have seen an increase in hailstorms, especially down in Central Florida. So, if something like that happens, please take pictures. That's always very helpful. But going back to the hurricane season and just being prepared, it does work for any type of event in your home. So plan your event, write it down, keep important documents safe and in a dry storage. Put them in if it's a Ziploc bag or something that's going to keep the water out. That's always very helpful. As far as your insurance policies, there are certain things that we want you to look out for. And Andreas, we'll also get into that a little bit more. But we want to make sure that our clients and everyone in Florida is protected and covered. And that's why we take the cases that we take.
I think that's such a great point, Catalina. Can we touch back on this when we come back from break in just a moment?
Sure.
Of course.
All right, fantastic.
Break. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah. Give us a call at 855-765-1045. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined here by Eddie, and we've got Andreas and Catalina on the line from Orlando.
Yes, Andreas and Catalina, I have just a quick question. This is something we hear all the time, or we get questions about it. People have storm damage or hurricane damage, and the insurance company comes out and they go, well, look, here's the damage, and they start looking at it, and all of a sudden the insurance company is saying, well, the hot water heater that was destroyed was over 10 years old, the carpet's 15 years old, and with inflation now, what are they going to pay you for that? Are they going to depreciate that hot water heater and pay you $10 for it? Are they going to, say the carpet was worthless and and not really want to pay you anything for those kind of damaged items? Especially with inflation now, everything is so expensive. A friend of mine was over at the house last night. He has a small, condominium, not a condominium, but one of those, like a townhome. He replaced a compressor. It was like $12,000. And you used to get a compressor and an air handler for $3-4 grand. Mm-hmm. So with the limits that are out there, you bought this insurance. People don't look at their policies every year. And everything's getting higher and higher. But here's a policy that I bought 10 years ago that said my house was worth X dollars. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Eddie. It's a great segue into the next section that I wanted to talk about is what to look for, what to watch out for. And you touched on something, right? And it's rising costs of everything. And it's really expensive right now to fix your home. Construction costs and material costs are pretty high. And what you get paid under your policy really boils down to what the policy says. Now, a lot of the times these policies pay out two ways: actual cash value or replacement cost value. Replacement cost value is the policy you want, okay? What you want to avoid is an actual cash value policy, because that's where you get in a situation where they depreciate it because it's old or because of its condition. So you want a replacement cost policy because once you're able to show that you've done the work, then that entitles you to the actual replacement cost value. So that's, I'm glad you mentioned that. You want to look out for what type of payment do you get? You get the actual cash value, you get the replacement cost.
I know, Carl, let me just ask you a question about that then. Okay, so you have a replacement cost, okay? The compressor that, it's like I said, now the compressor was $4,000, it's $12,000 now. So they're going to pay you the $12,000 because the replacement cost. But your coverage, at some point, and they're not going to, there's not a limit. You only have a certain amount of coverage. You only have 200 or 300. So that money can be gone pretty quickly with just a few items. How do you protect yourself about that happening because of the skyrocketing price with inflation and all that?
Right. Yeah. And Catalina is going to touch later on about caps.
Okay.
And policy caps. And so right now there's water damage caps in your policy. So if you go to Home Depot, to go shopping, or you go to the grocery store, you come back an hour later and your kitchen's flooded with water. All right. If you have a water damage cap for $10,000, the insurance company's going to come back and say, too bad, so sad. We sold you a policy with a $10,000 water damage cap. So it's really important that you talk to professionals like us, your insurance agents, and see that you have the right coverage. Because I'm telling you right now, Eddie, things are getting more and more expensive. But what's happening is your rights as a homeowner and what you're being sold by the insurance company, it's getting less and less.
Yeah.
So I do want to chime in on the caps here. One of the ways to look out for these caps is, well, first of all, on your declarations page. So every insurance policy has a declarations page where it lists not only what the cap for each one is, but it also lists deductibles. On this page, it also may show what you're paying monthly for your insurance or however you have determined that type of payment. But on your on your declarations page, you will see that the coverages are distributed amongst different areas. And so if you have some type of damage, for example, as Eddie mentioned, the water heater, that can go under one of the different areas depending on the type of damage that it is. So if the water heater just busted by itself and it just burst and water went everywhere, that's one type of damage, and that may go to that water damage that has that cap. But if, for example, it was damaged as a result of a hurricane, then that can go into a different type of coverage. And so that's when that conversation with the experts, as Andreas was saying, really comes in handy. You can give us a call and say, well, what does this fit under? How can I get this replaced, or how can I get my damage covered based on the type of coverages that you have? Now, these caps, they're also kind of difficult to spot sometimes in these policies because a lot of times they're not just mentioned in the clauses that actually discuss the coverage. And we all know that policies are so long, sometimes they're 80, 90 pages, and, who wants to read all that? So there's certain things
who can even understand it.
Yeah, that's my point. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Tell you.
Exactly.
Is there an insurance policy for dummies book I could read? Because that's what I would need.
Now you got to call these guys.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just got to call them.
Andreas and Catalina will tell you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you're right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why, the things to look out for really are just declarations page. And then sometimes at the end now, there are certain things that are being added at the end called endorsements. And so these are placed either throughout your policy, but I've seen them mostly towards the end of the policy when you're already tired of reading. So these endorsements change your policy in its entirety. And a lot of these I've seen are those caps. So we've seen these water caps generally around $10,000. And if your water heater bursts and it floods your entire house, that's going to cost more than $10,000. So that's when those endorsements really have to be looked at and see what they say. And so if you need help with that, obviously that's why we're here.
Great. Yeah. I think because you're right. The interesting thing is the policy. There are various ways to get coverage. Like you said, it may not be covered under one paragraph, but it's covered under something else. So it's very important to consult with somebody. But the problem is a lot of people aren't going through agents now. They're going directly to the company. And you can save 15%, you can save 20%. Well, you know how you're saving that money? They're cutting out the agent. The agent looks after you. So what's your recommendation on that? Should a person go ahead and just go through an agent because they know what you need, or can you do it on your own?
So I think that people can.
Huh?
Go ahead. Sorry, Catalina. Go ahead, Catalina.
I was just going to say, it really depends on how comfortable the person feels about reading this policy language, because as you guys mentioned, they are hard to read. So if you want to talk to somebody about it, go to your agent. Your agent will be able to steer you right. If you feel like you can do it on your own, fine, but just make sure you actually read the fine print. That's really the most important thing.
I think that's a great point, Catalina. I can't wait to dive back into more of this interesting insurance conversation right after this quick break. You're listening to Legal Live on 104.5, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined again by Eddie, and we've got Andreas and Catalina from Orlando talking about homeowners insurance during hurricane season. Take it away, you guys.
Yeah, thank you. So I think we left off on water damage caps, and it's important if you see one of these caps, just to give a professional call. Give us a call, and we'll take a look at it, because sometimes those caps are worded in a way where we can get coverage. And I'll give you guys a real-world example. I was involved in a case where an insurance company said, we won't cover you for water damage if it's been leaking for 14 days, okay? And we had a gentleman come to me, and another attorney I work for, and he said, hey, I think there's something here, because I came home at a later date, and I've got all this damage I have to deal with. And my insurance company's telling me, too bad, so sad. So we took a look at it, and we found out that the policy, even though it said 14 days, the policy still provided you coverage from day 1 to 14. Okay, and so we were able to get that coverage unlocked for them. So it's important that if you see something you don't understand, give us a call, because we'll take a look at it and we'll see if we can unlock some coverage for you. Because since that case happened, these insurance companies have been changing their policies, and they're trying to word it to get rid of that day 1 to 14. But there's still some policies out there. All right, so I would caution you to try to take a look at these. There's a reason why I have a job here in interpreting these insurance policies. They can be complex. I mean, like Catalina said, there are these endorsements, and they refer back to other pages. And you know what? The most important thing, too, is that policy. And while you might think you have a full copy of that policy, these things are thick. They're like a book. They're about 50 to 70 pages long. And you know what? You could be missing that one page that I could read and say, hey, you have coverage. And so what you want to do is get a certified copy from the insurance company. You want the insurance company to send you a copy and say, this is a true and correct copy of the policy.
Yeah.
Because that one page that you might have misplaced, or that wasn't mailed to you, could be the smoking gun, could be the difference.
Andreas, you're right about that. It's got to be a certified copy, because they could just send you anything. It could be missing pages, and that's happened in the past. We've seen it from the automobile accident side, where they just send you a copy of a policy, and there's a lot of pages missing. And they're not. But if it's certified, they're on the hook. If they pull something out, that's a fraud claim. That's a lawsuit by itself. So that's a good point. A certified copy of it.
Wow, I've never had a certified copy before. How do you request that?
You have to make it. Ask them. Make it. Go ahead. I'll let you guys.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a certified copy of any insurance policy. I didn't realize there were that many pages to it to begin with. So do you have to make a special request at the time when you sign this policy, or before you sign it, to get the full document?
Well, you're able to request it at that point.
About when you have a claim. Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, generally, what I was going to say is that, when you do sign a policy, when you sign on, let's say, with a new insurance carrier, I would suggest going ahead and asking for a full copy of the policy. At that point, I don't know if they would give you the certified copy itself, but you can at least see the entirety of it. I've seen many of my clients come in and they just have, the declarations page or a page that only has a summary. And usually those are missing so much information, which includes generally these caps. You can't see these caps in some of these pages that are made to be, quote unquote, easy to read, so it's important to have the entire policy and understand that, it's more than just a couple pages.
I think that's such a great point, Catalina. These insurance companies, man, they are tricky. What were you saying, Eddie?
They're
earlier?
in the business to make money, not to give money away.
That is
me,
so
not to
true.
pay. But Andreas, you probably intended on covering this, but what do you do as an attorney? Somebody has a claim. How do you make sure that, because, most homeowners are not engineers. They're not contractors. I wouldn't know what to look for. If my house were damaged, I could look, maybe I'd see some visible damage. But what do you, as an attorney that specializes in these types of claims, do to make sure the client is fully compensated and that all the damages are taken care of?
Well, we make sure we get the right professionals to come in and take a look at the damage. We'll bring in a claims professional to come in and photograph everything. We'll bring in an engineer, or if need be, we'll bring in a roofer. But you might be able, it's really interesting because people tell me, why do I need to call someone to come and take a look at my roof when I could do it myself? Well, I could cut my own hair, but I'm not going to do a good job of it. So it's important that you get professionals to come in and do a proper inspection.
Yeah, I think also one of the most important things that we do right off the bat also is to talk to our clients, to talk to the person who comes to us and says, hey, my roof is leaking or there's a stain on my wall and I don't know where it's coming from. And when we hear certain things, we know, okay, we need to send out this type of professional to go and take a look at that. So it's really as simple as asking us and just telling us, hey, this is what's happening. And then we can help determine what exactly needs to be looked at.
Also, Andreas, the question I'm sure a lot of people are asking themselves or thinking about is, what do you charge? How do you get paid in a case like that?
We just take a percentage of your claim. We don't get paid up. We don't get paid up front. We take it on a contingency fee basis, so it's now no out of pocket cost to you. And we take a look at it. We help investigate it, and then if we need to bring it into litigation and file a lawsuit, we do that too.
Yep. So there's no upfront cost. There's no out-of-pocket cost to the client to hire Farah and Farah and you to handle their first-party claim, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Interesting. And roughly how much time does it take to get these claims handled and settled, hopefully out of court? Because I think I heard something about a couple of years ago, insurance companies have the ability to extend these cases a little longer in Florida now. And does it take up to 2 years to resolve this situation?
Well, it varies. It varies on the complexity, varies on the amount of damage in the insurance company. But the insurance company has 90 days to pay or deny your claim. All right? Within those 90 days, if they're not playing fair, then we can notify the state and put in a notice of intent to litigate, and that gives the insurance company another 10 business days to make a decision whether to pay or not pay or go through other processes like appraisal or something like that. But we don't have enough time to go. But yeah, so they typically have 90 days to pay or deny the claim, and if they don't, we give them that notice of intent, and that time starts ticking, and they have 10 business days to make a decision, and then on the 11th day, if the client wants to, we get the case prepared for litigation.
Wow. And so can you appeal that decision that they make if they choose to deny it?
Well, he can.
Or you just go to litigation, essentially?
Well, if they deny your claim, that means, in our opinion, they've breached the policy if we believe that there's coverage. And there's other things you can do, like go to pre-suit mediation and things of that nature, if you're adverse to litigation. But usually the best route to recovery, where you're going to get justice, is through the court systems. And that's really important. Access to the court system is access to justice. And what I'm seeing a lot is these insurance companies, they're trying to stop you from accessing the court system.
Yeah, well,
so
because that's where that's where the regular guy gets justice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and that's where they get held accountable.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only place. That's your place to for accountability.
Yeah.
And so the insurance companies try to shut off your access to the civil justice system. Because they know if they can keep you away from the civil justice system, if they can control the cards, or then they're
make you wait forever and get you so
trying to wear you down.
So you just want it over, and then you settle and mediate.
Maybe Andreas and Catalina can talk to that. But
yeah, I think that'll be something great to touch on when we come back after this quick break, real quick. So you are listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll be right back talking about this fascinating wormhole of insurance, home insurance policies, and how to survive them. Stay tuned for more. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. I'm Sheifalika, and I'm joined here in studio with Eddie, and we've got Andreas and Catalina on the line from Orlando talking about homeowners insurance policies. What's up next, guys?
Yes, thank you. So we left off on access to justice, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit more. And so what the Office of Insurance Regulation approved recently were some new policies, all right? And these policies will take away your ability to get justice through the court system, your ability to stand in front of a jury of your peers and get that justice that makes this country so great. And what you're being sold is an insurance policy with binding arbitration in it, okay? And so what you want to look out for, what you want to avoid, is an insurance policy that has a binding arbitration provision, Okay. And what that means is if you have a dispute with your insurance company, they can send you to binding arbitration, which in my opinion is kind of like kangaroo court. You basically have a dispute with the insurance company and you let an arbitrator decide instead of going to the court system. And it's binding, which means that decision's final, okay? And you're going to be bound by that decision. And so that ties into the access to justice. All right.
What?
You don't want a policy with binding arbitration.
That's
because you want.
Who is this arbitrator? Are they part of the legal system? Or are they a part of the insurance company?
Well, you have to think about it. Andreas is going to probably touch on it, but these arbitrators, they're going to make a decision, and you're a one-time customer, okay? But they're going to be dealing with the insurance companies time and time again, so you can see where their loyalties lie.
Oh,
it's not like an independent jury of 6 people. But go ahead, Andreas. I don't want to get into that's your.
Yeah, Eddie, you touched on it. All right, they get a lot of business from this arbiter, and so do you really think you're going to get the justice you really need? The justice you'll get in front of your community, your jury of your peers, and so that's something to look out for. The Office of Insurance Regulation just approved policies with binding arbitration, and it might cost you a little bit less on your premium to have the policy with that language. But if you have a claim, God forbid you have a claim, it'll cost you on the back end because you're going to be facing an arbiter. Okay.
So,
and
if you do find that binding arbitration language in your policy, is there a way to request to cut that out of your contract, or do they simply just make you pay more if you don't want?
Call your insurance company up immediately. Tell them you want that binding arbitration taken out. You'll pay what it costs to get it taken out. Get it in writing.
And then get a certified policy without that language.
You don't want binding arbitration in your policy at all.
Wow.
And another thing to look out for, what to watch out for, what you want to avoid, okay, is an insurance policy with an option to repair or a right to repair. All right, this might shock everyone, but there are some policies sold out there that if there's damage to your property, the insurance company is to choose. They get to decide who comes into your home and who does the work. All right? Think about that. Exactly. Now, I mean, it's mind-boggling. They get to choose who comes in your property. And you know what? You think that company's independent? I don't think so. All right? They follow with the insurance company, their instructions on how to repair the property. So you lose control over how the work's being done in your own home if you have certain policies. Now, obviously, you can say, hey, I'm going to hire my own people. But if the insurance company wants to hold to that right, they can say, okay, well, your claim's not covered then, and you can hire your own people, but you have to pay out of pocket at that point.
Yeah,
so you have to be really careful about these right to repair, option to repair policies.
Yeah, I tell you, Andreas, they're trying to do that on the automobile side where people have property damage to their vehicle. They're trying to steer them to so-called insurance company body shops. And we've had clients who have gone through that, and the work has been subpar. These guys are handling volume. They're just slapping aftermarket parts on the vehicles. That's what you're going to have at the house. If you have an insurance company contractor come through, you know what kind of work that's going to be like. And when you think about it, that's the most expensive investment somebody makes typically. It's their home.
Absolutely. It's the biggest part of your equity.
Right.
And my God, this makes me a little mad. I'm not going to lie. I know I'm a layman, but
No.
I buy the home. I get the insurance to protect the home, not to be railroaded by the insurance company if something were to go wrong, whether natural disaster or not.
But one thing I do want to make clear is that if the work that is done in your property by these folks that the insurance company sends out, if that work doesn't go right, you still have options. So it's not that, it ends there and they repaired my roof, but it's still leaking and there's nothing I can do about it. No, give us a call, because at that point, there are also remedies that we can help with.
Yes.
That's a good point, Catalina.
Yeah, that's a good point, Catalina. I appreciate that.
Catalina, how can we reach you guys, whether you're in Orlando or here in Jacksonville?
Just the 396. I mean, it's our number. We're They're Sheifalika.
Somebody plugged the number. I'm trying to be subtle here,
They're
but you
part
guys
of
are
Farah.
working
Just
with me.
Google Farah and Farah. I mean, you can read all about these guys on our website.
All right, Google it. Everybody in the
We
world,
have,
just Google it.
we have an office in Orlando, Sheifalika. I don't know if you know that.
I do. I know. I've spoken to Andreas before about
and
my
in
own
Tampa,
insurance
and,
policies. Yeah.
And in Fort Myers, and all around. So.
You can reach us through any of the Fair and Fair numbers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to talk to somebody who is, thinking they may have a claim. Andreas and I are always here and just ready to take these on.
Thank you.
We love
so
our jobs,
much.
Yeah, they really love doing it, Sheifalika. They're really into it.
I can tell that they're very passionate about this.
And that's all they do. I mean, these guys, every day they go to work and they handle these types of claims, and they really love doing it. And it's and they're hard. You have to really be into it. You have to like it, and they like it.
Yeah.
So they'll do a good job.
What does it feel like for the two of you, Andreas and Catalina, when you are able to finally reach a victory for one of your clients and get the value, get the repairs done, get their home back on track for them?
It's rewarding. Yeah, it's really rewarding. What I like to do is drive through my neighborhoods, and if a blue tarp's off that home, I get really excited because I know, hey, I was able to make sure that home's no longer leaking. So I get great satisfaction seeing those blue tarps come off of homes after a hurricane. And, it's important, okay, because you're going up against an insurance company with all these resources, all right? And you know what? David didn't show up empty-handed to deal with Goliath, all right? He had a staff and team, okay? And it's important that you give professionals a call, like myself, like Catalina, so that we can help make sure that you guys get a fair shake and up against the insurance company.
I think that was well said.
That fairness is really, really most important. At least for me specifically, when I hear my clients say, this is fair, and, I've been paying this insurance company for 20, 30, 40 years, and, making sure that they take care of me, that's what's fair. Like, hearing that, for me, is the most important part. Mm-hmm. Understanding that they, as you mentioned, that you purchase this policy with the intention to protect your property. And if we're able to help accomplish that, that's really what makes us feel that we did our job right.
I think that's so beautifully said. Yep. You have to have worries for justice for your home. Call Farah and Farah in Orlando or Jacksonville. We've got a few moments left. Eddie, you want to say anything?
Just thanks for listening in today. Catalina and Andreas, thanks for being there. Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was amazing. Great job.
It's our pleasure. Thank you all for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to Legal Live, brought to you by Farah and Farah on 104.5 WOKV, Jacksonville's News and Talk. We'll be right back next week, actually, at noon on 104.5 WOKV. Thank you for listening.
Progressive presents Married to Your Home.
I'm disgusting.
Oh, House, don't say that.
You could live someplace so much better than me.
That's not true.
Oh, yeah? Look at these uneven stairs. Gross.
House, you know I don't care.
Ugh, and the squeaky door hinge.
Well, I think it's cute.
No matter how much you already love your house, you'll love it more knowing you could save big bundling your home and auto with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and third-party insurers. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.